Hey, hey.
Hello. Good afternoon, all. Is
Hey.
it just me today?
Can
What's
you hear
happened?
me?
Hey, there's a familiar face.
Hey, I'm there, am I?
You
Hey,
are.
there I am.
Where's there?
Hey.
What's going on? We're missing you in the studio, mate.
This is just the other side of the studio, isn't
Oh, the far side.
it? It's all good. No, I am away for a kind of half business trip. I'm down in the southernmost state of Australia.
There we go.
So,
I was saying to Matt just before, I'm sure that'll start this speculating as to what you're doing down there.
well, yeah, it might. So I'm
No
still
news-
a bit.
No, New Zealand is not the most southern state.
No, it's not. It's the most eastern state of Australia. Yeah, so no, I'm down here with my family for a few days. We are doing some family things, but we're also doing some business things down here. So good fun.
Good stuff indeed. All right, we are kicking off a Friday. There's been a couple of email questions, so I thought we should start there. One actually, though, from a YouTube comment from last week. This one's a bit of a question about unallocated. I thought this was a good one to bring up. It says, unallocated program question. Say I bought over time 100 ounces of silver in your unallocated program and now want gold instead. I'm assuming that I should be able to switch from silver unallocated to gold. Could you please clarify? What is the process of transferring from silver unallocated to gold unallocated? Thank you in advance. And that comes from Adam.
Very complicated process, this one. You send us an email and say, I'd like to change it over. And if we remember, there's a slight schism in the price and, we charge you a little bit, but I have to say 99 times out of 100 when I go back through the paperwork, people just seem to do a straight changeover. So it's a pretty good deal. You get pretty close to a straight swap over on the ratio.
So, yeah.
It's not a big deal and it's a very simple process.
That's an easy one. Good stuff. Metal Inquisitor says, Michael, your purple dragon is with Bailey.
Oh, hey, thank you very much. Very much appreciated. Definitely needed it.
There was a couple of questions.
Yeah.
Couple of questions and comments before the stream started. James had a couple letting us know that we were mentioned on Backyard Bullion's one of the more recent videos. It's not the latest one anymore, but one of the recent videos there talking about our meetup with the Royal Mint in Berlin. And also commenting, saying, I should learn to read customs duties properly. Ouch. Although the parcel arrived intact, wrapped, and thumbs up for the sticker. Cheers.
Yeah, it's sending silver into the UK can get quite expensive sometimes. So always check when you're bringing stuff in. We ship all around the world. There are a couple of countries we're not allowed to deal with these days, but we pretty much send everywhere else in the world. Just make sure that you understand what charges you're going to get when your parcel turns up, because we can't keep up with it. Every country is different and every country changes it constantly. So yeah, just make sure you're aware of what it's going to be when it turns up.
I think it'd be interesting to have almost not quite a forum, but kind of an update of in James's case, he can say, yeah, well, that's it. I ordered in. This was my most recent experience for England, or, if someone else has just recently done it with the States, they can say, well, hey, I'm from the US. This was my experience. So, I think it'd be interesting to have something like that. Other question from James, any sign of ram dragons?
Which ones? Oh, ram dragons, sorry.
Yes.
No, I actually haven't seen them yet. I don't know why. Yeah, the short answer is no on that one.
No worries. The other week it was Matt that wasn't here. Matt was off at ANDA. Bit of what is ANDA? I'm sure there's plenty of people that are already aware of that, but what is ANDA and how did it go?
Yeah, it was a hoot. I'll give you the abridged version. So it's a fancy acronym for the Australasian Numismatic Dealers Association. So it's much easier just to call it ANDA, but it's basically I would say the largest coin show in Australia, and it's a traveling circus that I have the the pleasure to organise, and
challenge.
yeah, it tests me on a number of fronts, but that's one of the many spices of life, and it's much the same. We have testing days here at Bullion Now, if you can believe it. And, I like to think we all grow from those things. But it was a really great show. We had the Royal Australian Mint turn up, which was just wonderful. It's really exciting. Like, even when, for instance, when we did the Bullion Now World Tour and made it over to Perth, I still spin out when we get to do things like that. Like going in to the Perth Mint on that basis and getting to, have conversations with Neil, and obviously you guys going over to the World Money Fair. Things like that, I think we're all on the same page here at Bullion Now. That kind of thing never gets old, and I really do appreciate it. And so the idea of getting to put on an event and work with the Royal Australian Mint and have them turn up, I don't know, I started to pinch myself a few times, and it was really well received. From what I gathered, there was no major issues. There's always room for improvement, but yeah, it was a hoot. So yeah, all systems would go.
Kaiser Rules wondering if you got any info from them. Sorry, Michael.
No, you guys go.
Regarding their upcoming Dragon release, since they were an ender, did you take them aside and go, come on, have you got any info on upcoming releases?
You should have seen how well behaved I was. As everyone knows, I talk quite a bit and I get quite passionate at times, but having them there in person, I was just on my best behavior and was very respectful and didn't ask for any special favors or insider knowledge. I was just
starstruck.
Yeah, exactly. I was just thrilled to have them there and just wanted them to have as pleasant of an experience as possible. But who knows, as the friendship builds and it gets to that point, maybe I'll start asking some more pressing questions. But I don't have any major reports on that front, unfortunately.
Yeah, when we were in Berlin, Ruben and I and a couple of others met with RAM and with Perth Mint, and both companies said that they were hoping to support ANDA and the ANDA shows more this year, which was really good to hear. So they're it sounds like they're planning on attending several of the ANDAs. I know Perth's hoping to get to the Perth ANDA. I don't know if they'll make it or not, but I know it's certainly on their intent list to do it.
Well, they've got absolutely no excuse. They could probably take the Shoelace Express and walk over. It's that close, but we'll wait.
Come on, mate. How much of it? I know some of the guys went down to the ANDA show from Bullion Now, but we didn't have an official presence down there, and it was only just down the road from us too. So
yeah,
I can't make comment on that one.
Yeah, exactly. Things pop up, things get in the way. And on last year, we had the new effigy rolling out, or even the start of this year. So I appreciate that the mints have a number of commitments, including, the likes of the World Money Fair to attend. So we take the wins where we can get them, and events like that, and similarly with any of the stacker meetups that happen, and even just in store at Bullion Now, any location where people can physically get together and share in the hobby of stacking or collecting, I think is invaluable, because the community is. I'm speaking from only my own experience, and maybe you guys can shed some light on what it was like over in Europe. But the Australian community seems to be such a positive place where people are so supportive of one another and so happy to share information that in and of itself forms such a big part of it. And if you go out to some of these events, you're highly likely to learn a lot from people that are really knowledgeable and make some new friends as well. So the weekend really highlighted that for me as well. And I'm hoping you guys had a similar experience over in Europe and met some cool people there as well.
Yeah, I got to say, I can't speak for Ruben, but I had a blast over there. And I guess we were going in at a slightly different level because we were dealing with a lot of the dealers and refineries and wholesalers. But I know I spent a good half a day just wandering around as a retail customer, if you like, just seeing the different stands. And I only got through a small area of it, but there was a lot of people that I bumped into. Some of them knew us from YouTube. Some of us didn't know who I was. And the conversations that were had there were just they were really good. Very. I learned a heck of a lot from them, which was really good to experience, just from learning from those people. So yeah, I'd totally back up what you said.
A couple of questions have come through while we've been talking there. Bob says, Michael, I'll be in Melbourne late March, and I will bring your World Money Fair 2024 Kookaburra down when I visit. Sounds like you might have locked aside one of those as well. But also a really interesting point from Senior Ding Dong that I hadn't been aware of, and that's that the World Money Fair version of the Kookaburra has the Queen on the obverse, whereas the standard Kookaburra has King Charles. Can you speak to why? Consider, I would have thought that the coloured design would have been approved after I know that they're still able to use the Queen's obverse until about mid this year, but I'm surprised that they would do that on the one that came out afterwards. Can you speak at all to that?
They had to for to get it into Europe quick enough, because it had to be made and packaged and all that sort of stuff, and then shipped out to Germany before very close to release date. So these ones were actually used early.
Do we have a release date for the 2024 wedge-tailed eagle yet?
No.
Does BN have any Royal Canadian Mint bars, minted or cast, coming?
Not currently. This one's a hard one. We have to. It costs quite a lot to bring in stuff from overseas, whatever it is, and you can get caught out bringing small amounts in, or only dealing with one mint in small numbers at any time. So I know one of the things I picked up on quite a bit on this World Money trip was a number of the refineries and mints that we dealt with. They'd actually have a printout with them of the products that we'd ordered from them for the last year and a total amount that we'd spent with them. And you could see some of the ones, and I guess I don't want to drop names in here, but some of the ones where we'd only spent a smaller amount, so let's say $1 million, which sounds like a lot, but in this industry isn't. They weren't as forthcoming. They weren't as I'm not trying to say cooperative, because they were all cooperative, but it was definitely a different level of meeting. They weren't taking us quite as seriously. So particularly coming back from Germany, I kind of wanted to focus our ordering into probably fewer. I'm not saying we're not going to get the variety, but certainly a fewer number of refineries from overseas, just so we can get better support and better numbers and better pricing from the ones that we do deal with. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at the moment. It doesn't mean we won't bring them in. I'll probably bring them in from a third party, one of the wholesalers or something along those sort of lines. But at this stage, we don't have any bars ordered, although I did notice I don't know, Ruben, you might have to push the mute button if I overstep the mark here, but
I'm ready.
I noticed they've started offering us the Royal Canadian Mint. What do they call it? Not the.
I don't know if you can talk about those or not. I haven't seen anything about those. I know which ones you're talking about, but yeah.
So the next 2 ounce Royal Canadian Mint, I'm going to call it a wildlife series. It's not the wildlife.
It's the Ice Age. The Ice Age series.
Ice Age series. So they are starting to appear on our wholesalers lists. So
I found there's a listing from 7 hours ago. So no, we are able to talk about those now.
Oh, okay.
Oh, can you show it?
I can get a photo.
Oh, it's a belter. I love this.
Yeah, I really like this one. So we'll absolutely be getting these in the sooner rather than later. So we'll certainly be getting Royal Canadian Mint products in. I just don't know about the bars. There's only so many different bars you can bring in before it starts becoming a bit, one bar is the same as the next. But yeah, we will bring some in eventually.
So you guys might have to entertain here while I'm trying to find this image.
So look, this is actually, we could talk to the what was the previous series they had, Rubes? What was that called?
It was the Creatures of the North. So
Creatures of the North.
It is a separate series. That one kind of ended a little bit faster than I was picturing. But yeah, that they kind of
So
moved from the Creatures of the North with the Kraken and the Werewolf into the Ice Age series, which has so far just had the Sabretooth. And I will quickly throw up a image of the new one that we are. There we go.
So what do you think of this one, Matt?
I'm a huge fan. It's so nice to see I can't even think of the correct terminology for it in terms. The composition, I guess, is the word I'm looking for. The use of angles on the tusks. It all is complementary to the style of a coin. That sort of circular movement, and also that the actual what appears to be movement on the coin of the. I'm tipping that this is a, what do you call it, a woolly mammoth?
Yes.
It's as though it's stepping on in the legend, the text that says 2 ounce. Like it just has such a great sense of movement.
There's some gravitas and majesty to it.
And it's got a nice background.
It's stepping out of the coin almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a nice departure from the previous one, the Sabretooth, which seemed almost comical. It had a real cartoony quality to it that I didn't like from a coin design perspective. And also, I love on occasion the way the Royal Canadian Mint make use of blank space. They don't necessarily always feel compelled to fill the entire design,
but it doesn't feel empty
with content. Exactly, and the way they do a blank field with almost like those streaks, like the lines through the blank field, rather than just a semi-mirror finish. I'm sold. I'm a big fan. I can't wait to see it in hand as well, because I suspect it may be even better in hand. And I'm not just saying that because I thought the last one was a stinker.
It's the first time I've ever heard Matt insult the Royal Canadian Mint.
That's rare. It takes a bit. I'm sorry. I bet this will be the live that they watch. They're never going to speak to me again.
Could explain the frosty reception we got in Germany.
Side for those curious, this may make it a no-go for some others. It may make other people more interested. It does have King Charles right there, so we'll see what that looks like from the Canadians.
Yeah, that's not a great effigy. People were whinging about the Australian one. Gee, yeah, take a look at that if you want to.
To me, it doesn't look majestic. At least the Australian one, you can tell it's the king. This one just looks like a guy in a business suit.
Same way you see, those paparazzi photos of celebrities not looking their best. This is almost like a paparazzi portrait. He just gotten out of bed one morning, and boom, we did the portrait. You're right. It doesn't have a whole lot of. It doesn't have that regal look that some of the other portraits have.
Yeah, no, I agree. So disappointing, but the other side is a winner, an absolute scorcher. So yeah, really happy with that.
Good stuff.
So we will be getting them in the not too distant future, and they're good because it's a 2 ounce. And everyone knows I love a chunky coin. They're a nice chunky coin. And we've got. Here's a slightly funny story. We misordered 10,000 capsules, so instead of being 1 ounce ones, they're 2 ounce ones that fit the Canadian Mint stuff. So. We have capsules for them.
Oh, perfect.
10,000 of the mongrels. So, yeah, good fun.
Alrighty, let's...
Somebody was asking a bit earlier about us putting a sticker in storage for them. I'm going to say yes to that for now. I know Ruben's groaning inside with me saying it, but
that's fine.
I'll say yes. We can put them into your free storage for now, but if it gets out of hand, the only concern I have is... with our storage, I can't explain too much because it goes to security, but the way it's stored, a lot of them are packed, actually this way, next to each other, and it doesn't take much for a kilo bar to bend or squash a sticker. But I reckon we can cope with it for now, so long as we don't have 1,000 stickers in the storage facility. We'll be
the sticker is also far easier to replace than it's out of the two, it's going to come off worse than the product, the silver or something like that. So I think we're safe on that one.
Yeah, no, I'd say so too.
All right,
so we'll keep it going. Like I'll say.
Oh,
Hello.
Hello.
Back to me in the studio.
Back to you. Let me see if I can. No, he has completely disappeared. All
He's
right.
taking a breather. You work on getting him back in. I'll entertain the crowd here.
Oh, no, there we go. We got a connection again.
All right, don't worry about it. Back to Michael.
There we go. He's back.
Yeah, so that's a yes to the sticker for now, but I reserve the right to change my mind.
Alrighty.
About to start doing a bit of stand-up, bit of off-the-cuff comedy. You saved me there.
Alrighty, what else we got, Rubes?
Question from Dan the Collecting Man. Love that name. What do you think about the St. George and the Dragon 2024 UK 2-ounce silver proof coin from the Royal Mint? So a sovereign in a 2-ounce silver proof.
Want me to go first?
Either one.
Go for it, mate.
It's a belter. I love it. I am such a big fan of that design. So if I recall correctly, it'll be the original 1817 design, which differs ever so slightly from the conventional St. George and the Dragon design that you'll be accustomed to seeing on a sovereign. And this series, the last one in the series, it's another famous designer from back in the day from the Royal Mint, but I was hanging out for this one in particular because obviously it holds a bit more of a significant place in Australian history as well, like Australian numismatic history. For those that are unaware, I don't know if Ruben will get up a photo, but if you're listening on Spotify, if you're familiar, if you've ever seen an old gold sovereign, it's highly likely that you've seen the St. George and the Dragon design, which is a very, very famous design. It also appeared on a number of crowns back in the early 1800s. And to me, that just represents old gold collecting in a nutshell, the old sovereign design. So seeing that represented on a modern 2-ounce silver coin with there's rather than reading around the rim, there's an inscription, and it just has that old-timey look about it in a modern presentation, and I love it. So that's my 2 cents. This was not a paid sponsorship from the Royal Mint.
We did not have a Michael to go back to. I was just about to cut over to Michael to see what he reckons, but it appears it is someone's trodden on the cable or something.
He's taking a breather.
We'll see if we can get him back. But no, it's really cool to see those kind of almost origins of stacking designs. Not origins of stacking, but kind of, the history, the nostalgia inside the stacking world.
Absolutely, and no one but the Royal Mint could do a coin like that. So the fact that they're actually utilizing the historically significant designs that they've got access to and bringing them to the modern audience. So I would hope, as I often do with modern collecting, that people get a taste for the older stuff and start to dig a little deeper and look into the history of these things and, down the track maybe own some of the older coins, because, geez, the more you learn, the more exciting it becomes. And that's just me on my soapbox. So as a coin enthusiast, this is pretty standard opinion of mine.
Alrighty, I've got Michael back. Let's see what he thinks about it.
I don't know what the question. Oh, this is the sorry, mate. Tasmanian internet. It keeps kicking me out. I'm not sure why. It doesn't like the foreigners coming in. So we're still talking about the St. George and the Dragon design.
Yes, we are.
I agree with what Matt was saying. I think it's going to be a great one. What I wanted to hint at was a new design coming out from the the Perth Mint on this, and I think they've nailed it. You'll see it later on this year. I think they've done a really good job. But I think I offended. Ruben was there for it. I think I offended Neil when I told him that they'd gutted the original design. I didn't mean they'd wrecked it. I just meant they'd done a complete revamp of it. So stay tuned for that one as well. I think that's going to be a good one coming later this year.
Yeah, there was a little bit lost in translation between us Easterners versus Westerners a little bit there, but no, that was interesting. Someone asked if they were going to be doing something for the 125th with the Sovereign, and they said, don't answer if they're doing something, and so I deliberately didn't answer that comment. But you've been a little bit more upfront about it, so there we go. Some other questions.
Can I hit one question? I'm not sure I fully understand this one. Bots 1310 says, if Little Coin Shop had to close its doors, can Bullion Now keep its doors open without major changes to premiums or buyback policy? Little Coin Shop is the sister company to Bullion Now. I own both of them, but they are completely separate companies and they are run completely separately. So one is not reliant on the other. They are run completely, as I said, independently. So if in the unfortunate circumstances that LCS Little Coin Shop had to close its doors, it would have no impact on Bullion Now at all. It would probably just mean that my focus isn't split quite as much, although I have to say it's not split that much these days because Bailey pretty much runs Little Coin Shop. She does an incredible job. So, I don't think it would have any. I don't think anyone would notice at Bullion Now if LCS disappeared into the vapor.
We've got a question there asking if LCS is ever going to get any of those Royal Mint proof designs. That might be a slightly sore topic for you. I'm seeing you roll your eyes there because I was a part of that discussion. But even is there anything new coming for Little Coin Shop, the more collector side of things after going to Berlin?
Yeah.
Even if we can't speak directly to the Royal Mint one yet.
Yeah. So look, there's more stuff coming in from PAMP. There's more stuff coming in from Germania. There's more stuff coming in from there was heaps of mints there. We haven't nailed anything down. Well, actually, we have nailed some stuff down, but Little Coin Shop has a major meeting, if you like, of the management of it on this coming Thursday, I believe it is. I'll have to check my diary on that, but that's when we're going to drag together all the information from Berlin and actually start nailing down what we're bringing in and what's worth chasing and what we think might be a miss. So I'll probably have more information on that over the next coming weeks. But there's some stunning coins, not least of all being, and if you watched the video of the World Money Fair, you would have seen the hovering coin. Ruben's probably got a better term for it, but it's a UFO coin. I think it was 7 ounces or something. And that's an absolute stunner, and we will absolutely be fighting tooth and nail to get plenty of those in. They're pretty expensive, but gee, they're a good coin.
Yeah, I gotta love the uniqueness factor on that. Interesting question there from Mark Likes It. Are the Perth Mint 1 ounce gold cast bars with serial numbers sought after by collectors? Has anything happened with those? They came out probably a year or two ago now. They did a limited run. I want to say 5,000, but I could be completely wrong on that.
50,000.
50,000, there you go.
Yeah, 50,000.
Are people chasing those specifically?
I don't think anyone knows about them. There was such a 50,000 sounds like a lot of bars, but I think they're only available for something like 6 weeks.
They went pretty quick.
Yeah, so they we certainly see them pop up every so often, but I don't think anyone. They're just a bar, so I don't think anyone's chasing them. I don't think there was enough publicity around them. I don't think they made enough of a big deal. I'm not even really sure why they did them. It was this oddity that came out of nowhere. And it's never kind of led into anything else. So there's no ongoing, it's not like they produce them every year. It's not like they produced other sizes like that. But having said all of that, when we do get them in and we sell them back into the secondary market again, they are always very, very popular. So it wouldn't shock me in years to come if they don't become a sought after thing. But at this stage, there is no collector premium on them at all, although there is a lot of keenness for them.
One of the things, there's some questions about Germania going through there. One of the things I wanted to show off that we spoke a little bit about last week was their new runes. And I'll quickly throw up a photo of them. We got them there. They are green. So
looking radioactive this time round.
That's it. We got some hands-on with them over in Berlin, and they are very cool. Camera again, I don't think does them justice. That was just on a table they had set up there. I'm very much looking forward to hopefully getting some more footage of those when we get some of them in. But yeah, some very cool stuff coming. The other one that there were some questions being asked about in chat, Michael, is if we're not doing a Michael effigy bar, what do you think we could what do you think we could do on a kilo coloured bar design? Or even if anyone in chat's got any ideas, but yeah, everyone seemed keen on the Michael effigy idea.
No, it's not happening. We're not doing it. I couldn't. I've made my opinions very, very, very aware. Like I've made them very well known about what I think of people that put themselves on effigies, and I'm not planning on being one of them.
Yeah, but if we do it for you, it's
Yeah,
entirely
maybe
different.
we can get some wheels turning, Ruben.
Yeah, if we do it, it's less
I
concerning.
own this effigy. No, it's not happening. Yeah, so I could do a
Dear.
lettuce leaf. That one I could get behind. So
Alrighty.
yeah.
Let me
Just
Oh yeah.
coming back to those runes for a second, and the and even the Perth Mint cereal bars. The difference between those two is kind of what I was hinting at, where they produce these 50,000 bars and then nothing else heard of. The runes, they're keeping going with them. They're keeping producing them, and they're doing to them a high standard. They're not just cranking them out. They are very typical, incredible design Germania stuff. But because they keep bringing out, they don't butcher the series, but they bring a little bit more out to it, and they encourage it, and the advertising of it, and the word gets out there. It means that collection will get a following, and people will keep collecting the runes, and they will chase the older runes and the different colours and all that sort of stuff. It was why I was very, very stoked when Perth Mint confirmed to us that they were continuing on with this. They've just released the Gold Dragon minted bar, and they're going to continue that on through the Lunar series, the Snake, and so on and so forth, because that will encourage the collectors to come back to it and chase it, because it keeps it top of mind, once a year, twice a year type of scenario. So it's good when they do those sorts of things. We're seeing it from Germania Mint. We're seeing it from Perth with the Lunar bars. We're not seeing it from Perth with the cereal bars.
There's a couple of good suggestions there. There's something else I kind of want to tease a little bit. I'm not sure. I haven't seen anything happen about this yet, but we were told we might be able to get our hands on a very unique item from Germania, only one of in the world, to actually auction off for Bullion Now viewers. So hoping that comes off, we will see. But if it does, I think it's pretty cool.
I believe we have a shipping number for it.
Hey, there we go.
Wow.
So, stay tuned. We've got something cool coming by the sounds of it.
Yeah. Got a few cool things coming. Actually.
Yeah.
I've got an uncool subject that I think is appropriate to highlight.
Oh,
Cool.
I thought you said you had an uncle.
I actually heard the same. Yeah.
No, not quite. I had a conversation today with a lady who was in an unfortunate position of having had her home broken into and some of her bullion stolen. And the reason for her call was to see if she could get the serial numbers from her bars in order to put together a police report. And there was a comment from Fanta earlier suggesting that one of the potential benefits of the serialized Perth Mint cast bars is for potential recovery if a theft were to occur. Now, unfortunately, that's not basically not a factor. So, firstly, we don't keep a record tracking. We don't track the serial numbers for every single bar that comes through the business. I don't think any bullion dealer in the world would do that. And it would also not aid with recovery in the event of a theft. So that's something that I had explained to her, and it was a very unfortunate situation, and highlighted the importance once again of appropriate storage and security, and always limiting to a need-to-know basis for anyone that you're communicating with, that you have bullion in your possession. And occasionally, for a lot of people, it's most practical to store it with a place like Bullion Now. When you place an order and you put it into storage with us, you know that it's stored securely and it's all in a confidential basis. So, yeah, I thought that was a timely reminder. Unfortunate set of circumstances, but I think sometimes it's a good idea to just be mindful and sort of check in with yourself on those things and make sure you're being as thoughtful as possible when you're going about putting together your stack.
Yeah. Look, I mean, we do not record the serial numbers, and we actually do it intentionally. I know anytime serial numbers on bars come, like the conversation comes up, there is always the element of, I don't want anyone to know that I've got, X serial numbered bar, because I don't want anyone tracking it or tracing it. That's the anonymity side of it. And then the flip side of that is, in this unlucky circumstance where someone's actually had them stolen, and it would actually be better if someone had recorded those serial numbers. So, I if you are in a position to be able to take photos of your stack for insurance slash security purposes, I'm always reluctant to suggest this because then there is photographic evidence of what you've actually got. And if anyone else gets hold of that, obviously it has repercussions. So you need to be really careful. But if you do have serialized numbered bars, it doesn't hurt to actually have those serial numbers written down somewhere or recorded somewhere. So if you ever end up in this unlikely or a terrible circumstance, you've actually got something to hand over to the police to say, hey, these are the serial numbers if they ever come up. Because let's face it, one bar looks, you buy a Perth Mint bar or an ABC bar or a Germania Mint bar or anything along those sort of lines, they all look identical. The only differentiating feature may be a serial number. So we also heard when we were in Berlin, were you there for this conversation, Rubes, with Johan?
I'll wait and see based on what you start saying.
So, this was actually very disappointing, and I'm hoping the what's the name of the hotel over there?
The Estrell.
The Estrell. I'm hoping they do actually deal with it properly. But we had one of the Bullion Now community was there, and unfortunately, when they bumped into us, they were quite distressed because it had already happened. But they were staying at the Estrell for the World Money Fair. They had bought some items. They'd taken them back to their room. They'd put them into the safe in the room. They'd continued on with the World Money Fair tour, and then gone back to their room, and it had been burgled and everything had been stolen out of there. So
I think it was even worse than that. I think they had literally just ducked down for breakfast or something like that. I don't even think it was a long time that they were away. It was a very, a very timely thing.
Yeah, so I know Johan was, as you would be, he was incredibly upset. And we're not talking chump change either. He actually had purchased a few items so that totaled a little bit of money. So he was justifiably upset. But it just goes to show when I'm not saying he was lax. I'm absolutely not saying that. But when you're going to the World Money Fair, there is an assumption from people outside of the industry, particularly, that you're going there, with suitcases full of money to buy, large quantities of gold and silver and coins and those types of things. So even by staying at the hotel where the function is being held, you are opening yourself up to potential issues, as happened in this case. So you've got to really, with your stack, you've really got to consider it from all angles, the security of it and where you're going to store it, how you're going to store it, who you're going to tell about it, all those types of things. You've just got to be really, really careful, because the one time you're not, it will bite you on the backside.
And that highlights the delicate line that you walk, and I see some suggestions coming up in chat as to what level of tracking and tracing would people actually want, because obviously in the event that something goes pear-shaped, you would think, geez, I wish I had air tags and tracking devices in each of my bars. But then I'm sure if the Perth Mint said, hey, we're going to start selling kilo bars with air tags in, they'll be fully trackable, I don't think we'd sell any.
We'd see sales do this very rapidly.
Well, that's the thing. I think that ultimately just highlights the importance of, that's one of the characteristics of bullion that is appealing for so many people. So I guess it just highlights and that story again of the fact that you need to be really mindful of it and be responsible for your own bullion in that sense. So yeah, a disappointing story, and two disappointing stories, but I think it's incredibly valuable to highlight this sort of thing.
Yeah, look, and the problem with particularly something like a metal like gold, where it is so malleable, the problem is that even if you serialize it, you can, fairly easily, that serial number can be removed. You melt it down, you change the shape of it, all those types of things. And we don't see it a lot, but we absolutely do see mangled bars come through the door where you know that somebody's doing something dodgy. They're either melting down a serial number or they're trying to change the shape of it. And I tell you, I've heard just about every excuse as to why they do it, but invariably suspicions are raised that this is done for nefarious means. So even if we could put serial numbers on the bars, it wouldn't solve all their problems. I know there is talk of the DNA of bars out in the wider community. Different organisations are working on DNA databases so they can tell, no matter what you do to the gold, they can actually tell where it came from and at what time. But it's still early days on that. There's not a lot of concrete data on it yet.
I'm about to throw up a coin that I kind of haven't seen too much about in a while. We actually asked them about this series while we were overseas, but it's the Scottsdale Alien. They've got up to 2023, which from memory is they kind of run a year late. So in 2022, we saw the 2021 and so on. So that there is the 2023. But that's it. I hadn't really seen anything about this. There was a couple of people saying that they quite liked it in chat. It says Invasion is here with kind of two aliens there.
This is the most ominous looking of the series, I'd say.
It's a little spooky, isn't it?
He's not quite as welcoming as the other chaps represented before. This has taken a bit of a turn. I like it though. It's kind of cool. It is certainly something different.
I'm not sure about I like the alien in the foreground. I'm not so sure about the guy in the background. He's not clear enough.
He looks like he could be up to no good as well. Interesting that they've got a depiction of what looks to be, like a rocket ship. I would have thought a UFO might be the play in this instance.
Well, I think it's saying the invasion is here, so they've come to us in this, I think.
Oh, we're trying to get out.
I don't know.
We're headed to Mars.
That's the story. We've got to see.
I'm filling in some blanks here.
So we've actually, I'm surprised they've released the design yet because we've only just been able to put in for allocations on that. We are getting them in. We are getting in the 1 ounce silver and the 1/10 gold. I don't know when they're arriving. Like I said, I was actually quite surprised the design was freely available when Ruben threw it up. So
yep, they are up on their website. So no, I'm not pulling anything from anywhere I shouldn't. That is publicly available. Just to make that clear.
Yeah. So we'll definitely be importing some of those. So stay tuned.
What are the odds of the antiqued and the ones with colours for LCS?
Ooh.
Pretty good.
Hey, all right. That's an exciting development. Alrighty. There's a bunch of email questions that we got in from someone. A big shout out. Haven't got approval to say a name, but thank you very much. I will read through at least the first one of those. We'll see how we go getting through them. It's about the gold-silver ratio. It says, is the gold-silver ratio really an important or accurate measurement of the silver price? We are at 90 to 1 today, and it's only hit 20 to 1 3 times in the last 100 years. What is the significance of the ratio theory? So kind of two questions in one there. Is it really an important or accurate measure of the price? And what's its significance? What is the significance of the ratio theory?
Do you want to take this one, Matt, or do you want me to?
You'll explain it better than I will, but I'll just toss in a couple of thoughts from a young chap on the sidelines. And this is just my personal take on it. Often in conversation, I hear people saying that that the price and the ratio has to do something in the sense of, well, it's at this point, so therefore it has to revert to closer to 50 to 1 or 40 to 1 or whatever it is. And at first I was really on board with that line of thinking, but I think from the few years I've now spent, I guess, at the coalface in the bullion industry, less and less I feel that sense of the price owing me anything, for lack of a better term. When people say that, it has to do this, it has to do that, I think, okay, that's how you feel about it. The market doesn't have that same emotional belief system. It's not based on, that's not what it's based on. So the ratio is not something that, from what I've observed, it doesn't have that sort of elastic movement where if it pulls out to a certain point, it will inevitably contract and go back to another level. And so that's my lead in to you, Michael, to give a more informed view of it. But that's just how I have begun to view it as of late.
I think we're starting to move into the smoke and mirrors area. And I think Matt's right. I don't think the market owes you anything. So the market will do whatever it will do. But having said that, the ratio is a good indicator of human emotion. So when we see a 90-to-1 ratio, all it's really telling you is that the chances are gold is dearer, is at the dearer end in comparison to silver. So it's not saying that it will definitely compress, but it is starting to say, hey, look, it mightn't be a bad idea to start picking up some silver fairly soon because, it's at a cheaper price when held in comparison with gold. So if you see it more as a trend indicator rather than it's hit this, it will, it therefore must go, it must go to down to X or down to Y. And I famously or infamously, depending on how you want to look at it, got caught out with this one because during the early stages of COVID, the ratio blew right out and was, kind of this 90, 91, 92, 93 to 1. And I said, it's right near the top. It'll never blow through 100. So start loading up on silver now. And I think as we put that video live, I think within 12 hours, it blew straight through 100 to 1 and went all the way up to about 126, 127, somewhere like that to 1, which it had never done ever before, as far as I'm aware. So, it's not a hard and fast rule. You can't say it's done this, therefore it's going to do that. But it can certainly show, and I would argue at the moment, despite what Matt said at the start and the fact that I agree with what Matt said, I'm starting to say, look, I think gold is, if I've got a choice between gold and silver, I will still get gold, but I will start leaning more heavily into silver with the anticipation of when it drops, and it will drop eventually. When it drops, then I'll roll some of that silver back into gold again. I don't ever think that, I don't believe that, I hate saying it'll never do something because that's usually when it proves me wrong, but I don't expect it to go back down to 20 to 1. I'm not holding on for that, but I would certainly anticipate it within the next year or 2 years to start seeing it back down at that 60 to 1, 50 to 1, that sort of area. And in which case I'll start converting some of that silver into gold. I would never use this though as a sole indicator of what I'm buying at any point. So as I said a couple of times here, if you can see it as an indicator of trend or an indicator of emotion, it's a good use in that, but it's not a hard and fast rule.
Nice little summary there.
Yeah, it was a good question.
Alrighty. Thoughts on the Gold Britannia Liberty Gold coin? Is it the Gold Brit? Oh, Gold Brit, Liberty Gold coin. That's not the one. Have
Two different coins or one coin? Have you got a picture of it?
I don't. That's just
a
question
come on,
there.
man.
The question was just asked. Come on.
Just now. Sorry, I thought you were reading email questions.
I'm not reading an email question.
What a wind up. You
No.
had the question. Didn't you get an image?
No.
All right, come on. Chop.
Michael, have you seen the Liberty
coins?
coins?
The image?
I have seen them. I have not paid a lot of attention to them, so I'm not one to give a qualified opinion on this one.
No worries.
This is the Royal Mint one we're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, see, everyone knows I've got an inherent bias here. It's not a good one.
Yeah, look, honestly, fair. I am wondering if it is special time.
Hey, are we doing this? I go out of town and you guys run a flaming special. What is this?
Wasn't this your idea?
You know how it is, Michael. We when the cat's away, the mice will play, and that's
yeah, I'm getting that impression. I can tell you.
So this week, do you want to go through it, Michael?
No, you do it, mate. You know more about it than I do.
Alrighty. So this week we have got up some half-kilo silver bars, so 500-gram bars as buybacks, and they are $15 above spot, I believe, for the half-kilo, which is normally a bit more of a pricier kind of premium than the kilos. So good to have those a little bit cheaper. And
I'll wave some around.
Yeah, feel free to wave some around, just like that. So we don't see too. Well, that's it.
Yeah, that's probably another major topic to cover off. Holy moly.
No, it's not.
But yeah, this is kind of an odd-sized bar, and as far as places like the Perth Mint, if you can catch the light right there, and let me tap the focus here to get that going on the bar there. Places like the Perth Mint haven't done a 500-gram bar, so we don't see them come through new very often. But there's a couple of the local brands and things like that do them. I'm giving up, Matt.
Sorry, dude. I can't not move around.
Yeah,
even I'm trying to relax, doesn't work.
So yeah, it's good to see these come through. These ones are just up on the website. We're not doing a link we're not doing a first come. Well, it is first come first serve, I suppose, but we're not doing a ballot or anything. Thank you, Matt. I was floundering a little bit there while I'm multitasking. So I've just put the link to those there in the chat. So yeah, $15 above spot for a half kilo of silver buyback. So a variety of brands and stuff we've got there. I believe there was also something about some 1,000 ounces. I haven't heard back from the guys as to what's happening with those. I did put one of those. There's one actually sitting right below Matt's eyeline. I was going to ask him to try and could you just bring that up?
Go on. I'll
just show the camera.
Do your Taylor Swift.
I'll put my my weightlifter's belt on. Hang on.
I may have to hear if there's actually anything happening with those.
Yeah, we're going to do them at spot.
There we go.
You've written on it upside down.
Spin it around.
Oh, it's as good as I can get.
Hands in the air like you just don't care, mate.
Yeah, Michael, I got told that because they're all different weights, we weren't quite sure how we were going to be listing those.
If you want one, bear in mind they are over $30,000 a pop. But if you want one or two or three, shoot us in an email. We will work out because they're industrial bars, so they don't come at a fixed weight. We call them 1,000-ounce bars, but they can be plus or minus, about 50 ounces, isn't it, Rubes?
That's quite a bit, yeah.
Variation. So, send in an email saying, I'd really like 1, 2, or 3 if you're really keen. 1,000-ounce bars at spot, please. We'll work out how much it will be. Bear in mind, it will be in excess, like a chunk in excess of 30 grand for each bar. So, but if you want one, we certainly have them available, and we're going to do them at spot until they either sell out or Monday morning, whichever occurs first. And just shoot us an email to sales@bullionnow.com.au, and we will sort it out from there.
And don't bring just a little carry-on luggage suitcase if you're picking a few up, because... Yeah, I'm strong as an ox, but I know I made it look light, but they're incredibly heavy.
The number of those wheelie cases we've blown out over the years is huge.
Maybe another business opportunity. BN suitcases.
We should open them up next door, shouldn't we?
I had a question for you, Michael.
Yeah.
So... We were over in, as we've spoken about already a few times this stream, we were over in Berlin recently, and we came across some Call of Duty bullion. So the video game Call of Duty, got a photo of those up there. They had this is the guys over at PAMP had some of these done in silver and in gold. And it was kind of interesting for me to see, pretty much a video game kind of translate to bars. And my question for you kind of, I think there's a discussion we can have around the fact that these bars exist in the first place, but is stuff like this only kind of been coming out in the last couple of years, or back when you started stacking, was there licensed products quite prevalent back then as well?
No, there absolutely wasn't. These are a fairly new invention. Over the last 5-6 years? Maybe even a little bit longer. I don't know. I'd be interested in. I don't like polls. This is Matt's area, but
Hey.
what people think, because I don't think. I don't know. I don't think they translate across well into the bars and the coins. Having said that, every one in every 100, grabs the market's attention and away it goes, and it becomes a winner, like we had with the Willy Wonka bar late last year. That was an absolute scorcher, and I think Matt and I both said, "Wow, we loved it," and I think you did too, Roots. We really love this bar. So sometimes it actually carries across and it carries through, but sometimes you kind of think, what are they thinking? Are they trying to reach a new market, a non-traditional stacker market? What are they going for here? And I don't know. I don't know. What do you think, Matt? I'm not a big fan.
This is a really interesting one, and I think it's a case by case. And I think what you've described there with the Willy Wonka is a perfect example of a logical crossover or tie-in, if you will, quite literally with the whole golden ticket concept. Yep. This is a very interesting one. I've never been a big player of Call of Duty, but I'm certainly familiar with it. But I think Ruben was saying earlier that there's also a component of it that gives you an in-game cosmetic item to coincide with the bar. And I love that conceptually, just as an idea of worlds colliding. Whether or not, though, that would lead to people... Because essentially it becomes just a nifty gift. If I have a friend that loves Call of Duty, I'll get them this 1 ounce silver bar and they'll say, oh, great, that gives me this cosmetic item to go along in the game. So people know that I have this item and that could very well be the end of it. I guess the idea, and like I often say when we talk about licensed products and what have you, there is that small percentage of the market that could then, decide to go down the rabbit hole, watch a little bit of Bullion Now live on a Friday, and all of a sudden it could have a very positive impact on their life. So as far as this type of thing goes, Call of Duty is probably a great market in terms of the size of the market. As far as an actual crossover is concerned, I'm not sure it's quite there. Off the top of my head, there was a game called Uncharted, and I'm going down a rabbit hole of my own here, so bear with me. There was a game called Uncharted, and it's sort of like a bit of Indiana Jones style, like you're an adventurer.
Bit of Tomb Raider.
Yeah, and within that game, you would discover artifacts and things like that. And one of the things that you would discover is old sovereigns. And so I think when you have crossovers like that, where it's actually in the game and there is a bullion component, I think crossovers like that are the type of thing that I would really like to see more of. But similarly, you need to have a sufficiently large market in terms of brand awareness for that to be viable. So I can see how something like Call of Duty being the biggest FPS game in the world is probably a safer starting point if I were to go into a brand collaboration.
Well, we saw a few months ago the John Wick coins, and that was, I would argue, that's a logical extension, like you were saying, of producing a coin, because that's how that is the currency in the John Wick John Wick universe. So I get that, and I would argue that was well received. I just don't see ones like this, which are just, it's almost like, let's just grab something popular and slap it on a bar and hope for the best. I don't see it. But I could be wrong. How did our voting go, Rubes?
58% of people are kind of saying, yeah, some work, some don't. 17% of people say, yep, absolutely love the licensed stuff. And 27 people are saying, nah, just give me the non-licensed stuff, plain old Bullion, or at least series that don't contain licensed, IPs.
And I desperately don't mean this as an insult to anyone, but we're possibly not pitching it at the right market. The people that tend to watch Bullion Now are more the traditional stacker. It's not to say that they don't buy these types of things, but it may be different if you pitch this. You might get a different response if you pitch this into the Call of Duty forum or live stream, or I don't know what they do over there. As you can tell, I'm not a big gamer, but like if you pitch something like that into that environment, into that universe, would they respond more positively? I actually don't know the answer, but yeah, maybe.
And I think it's interesting because it's the type of thing where we look at it, and as you say, rightfully point out, this is comparatively like a traditional stacking community that we're part of and that we're advocates for. There are components of that market, being the video game market, where in games like Call of Duty, there are cosmetic items in some of these games that sell for many thousands of dollars. So it is very much a whole different world out there, and it would be fascinating to see if these bars are limited in production. Let's say they only do, I don't know, we'll say 10,000 of the 1 ounce silver bars. It would be fascinating to see if the cosmetic item attributed to that bar, if there's a QR code or however you get that onto your profile, it'd be fascinating to see if the value of those items exceeded that of the bar. It's a very interesting market.
That, from a marketing perspective, I get. If you can attach it to your profile, I've got one of these, and I'm one of the few in the gamersphere that's actually got one. That I can see actually driving the price up quite a bit. It's almost NFT-ish. So that could be a good marketing policy, but just a broadcast, chuck them out there. Having said that, and I'm going to argue both sides of the argument in this next couple of sentences. I'm a Star Wars nut. That's not unknown. That's not going to be a shock to anyone. And I love some of the Star Wars stuff they've come out with. The flip side of that is I think they've just grabbed that licensed product and they've done it to death very, very quickly. And so I think there's too much of it out there, and I think they need to hold fire on that. If you get a limited amount out in that market, it can actually work. But when you just broad scale, just throw it at it, it's going to kill the initial love of it.
Who would have thought on a Bullion Now live stream we'd be talking about Call of Duty?
I was going to say,
I
feel like I need to move us on before people start realizing that.
I think we've exhausted our full depth of knowledge on the subject, Ruben.
That's the one. Michael, I'm not sure if you've seen it, but Perth Mint this week put out a video on their channel highlighting some new machinery they've got. And I have to admit, I don't know too much of the technicals of some of what's involved, but it very much looked like it was kind of reducing the amount of people required to do it, to operate it. It was upping their production capacity, and they're also saying that it was essentially going to make shinier gold, and also some. And I think it will lead to some different finishes and things like that on their bars. Have you heard anything about that? Is it going to be noticeable? Yeah,
it will. Like on all levels, like you said, we're going to see increased production out of them. It gives them more capacity. It gives them a better finished product. So I think we'll see a lot of that coming through over the coming weeks and months. Obviously, I can't speak for Perth Mint. I don't think it's putting anyone out of a job. It just makes their current operation more efficient. So, I think it's good on them for spending the money. I love seeing money spent in the industry and technology coming in. I think it's great.
Good stuff. Yeah, MP saying there that the flame-free furnace. Not exactly sure how that's running, but yeah, the idea, it looked very much kind of, you set everything going and then a bar pops out the other side. I think gone are the days of like pour marks and things like that on bars.
Which I think leaves room for the traditional
artisanal. Yeah.
Yeah. Where I think both markets can exist in harmony. If I'm just after, a stack of gold or a stack of silver and it's just purely to store the lumps, then I want the most efficient way possible. So, let's use the machinery, let's computerize it, let's put them in and bung them out the other end as quickly as we possibly can at the cheapest price. But if I'm actually targeting something and, I've got my stack in the corner, but I just want a couple of bars and, I'd like something that's got ripples in it, or I'd like an old bar, or, those types of things, then I can chase that. So I believe both markets can exist in harmony. I don't think one's going to run over the other.
What do we do when they start producing even nicer ripples with the new technology? Jeez, look out.
But there's always nutcases like me that love the old bars. Like the fact that they're not perfect, the fact that they don't have a great finish, the fact that, they've got dings and paw marks and scrapes and scratches and all that sort of stuff. That's actually the character that I want in my collector bars, in my interesting bars, in just not the stack that I've got in the corner. Yeah, you talk about this semi-frequently, Matt, where you start saying you've got to have some part of your stack that you don't care about. So when it comes time to sell, you're not feeling like you're selling one of your kids. I think that you've got to have both sides of the equation. You've got to have those plain vanilla bars, and you've got to have these, if you're like me, you've got to have something like these moldy old bars that just have character to them and design and flaws and scrapes, and that's why I love them, because of those things. So I don't think, no matter how good the technology gets, I don't think it's going to run over or remove the love of or the desirability of some of these older bars that we see.
There's a question there from the Metal Inquisitor that's been asked a few times. Sorry, mate. Will you bring in the 2024 Germania 1 kilo silver coin and the 2024 1 ounce gold proof coin?
Possibly. Well, we've got to make sure there's enough demand, particularly for the proof gold coin. Yeah, look, I think I love the design. I think it's a winner. I'm not committing to it at this stage.
No worries. Do we have an ETA on the 2024 Silver Roos? We've got them up on our website at the moment for pre-order. Have we got an ETA on when they're actually arriving through?
I actually thought they'd be here this week, so they will certainly be here fairly soon.
No worries. Sorry, just catching up on a couple of the questions in chat. Sarah, what do you think for this year will be the best value bang for buck, not including buybacks?
Do you want to take that, Matt, or you want me to?
At the outset, I'd say the kangaroo. The kangaroo has always been a bit of a staple in terms of when we talk about bang for your buck. If you just want something simple and straightforward with, as Michael often highlights, a very low premium for a coin, particularly given that it's a very nice design. It's not and it's interesting to see particularly in international stacking communities on YouTube, a lot of them highlight the kangaroo as a really nice coin. They get excited. I've got this beautiful kangaroo from Australia. I think we have the opposite effect of overexposure to it. So we see it and we just pass it off as, it's just a kangaroo. I'll wait until something nice like a maple comes up. But I think given that this is the first year, and I'm not suggesting that it's going to be a collectability component of it, but just as a point of interest, this will be the first kangaroo from the Perth Mint with the Charles effigy on it. So my opinion, for what it's worth, would be that the kangaroo will be a nice one to get this year if you're looking to go down the avenue of something that's cost effective and has a little bit of a point of difference. So there's a little bit of history there as well.
If we're talking 1 ounce silver coins, my picks, interested to see what we get through from Asahi moving forward. Metal Inquisitors pointed out the dragon we got. They actually beat the kangaroo on premium. So to get something international, I think, as a round, not a coin. But yeah, some super low premium and some change of designs. Keep an eye out for what's coming through from them. And I'm hoping we get through, I actually don't know if this is happening again or not, but hopefully something like the Golden Eagle out of Germania. I absolutely loved for the absolute just the quality of it. It's one of those coins that I love taking close-up photos and video of because it looks stunning. What about you, Michael?
Yeah, look, as far as 1 ounce coins go, I actually think the Asahi Dragon, I think they're going to be hard pushed to beat that one.
Yep.
Because it was a good, clean coin. It was a good design, and it's the perennially popular dragon. You can't go past a dragon. And it was at a great price point. So I think they absolutely nailed it. I think that's probably the pick of the year. You're going to struggle to beat that one. In the gold, I still keep coming back to the Lunar Dragon Bar. I think it's an absolute winner. I think it's a good price. It's only just a fraction more than a standard Perth minted bar. And I think the potential for collector premium on it is fantastic. So that would be my two picks.
That's your two picks for just the year so far, or that's your two picks you reckon for the entire year?
I reckon that's I'm going out on a limb in February and saying that's my 2 picks for the year.
All right.
But obviously, I don't know everything that's coming out for the rest of the year. But it's not to say that we won't get good coins throughout the year. We talked about the woolly mammoth before from the Royal Canadian Mint, and I think that's a corker. I'm hesitatingly looking forward to the alien coming out. I know there's some good coins coming out, but I think if you're going for best bang for the buck with a great design that's possibly got collector premium moving forward, I think those two are going to be very hard to beat this year.
I got a request before jumping on stream from our IT guys to pitch a little bit of a question to those in our chat. And that is, they want to know what is the most requested feature. They did say besides the sorting, like for the different products on the website, they are aware that is something that people want and they are working on that one. But is there anything else that people want to put in chat and so that the IT guys can look through a little bit later of things you'd like to, functions and things you'd like to see added to our website? One of the ones that they themselves actually recommended or thought that might be cool would be something like a dark mode, and I know I am massively in support of that. If you're doing any late night Bullion browsing, I think it'd be very handy to not quite be blinded by the light, as it were. So yeah, if you have had any of those, feel free to whack those in chat, and I can pass those on.
Just on that dark mode thing, it was an interesting conversation talking to the programmers about that, the IT guys, because there was a big discussion about whether people would use it properly, because you've got to have your cookies enabled for it. Otherwise, it doesn't work properly. So if we do introduce the dark mode, just remember to accept cookies and it'll work better.
Good to know. Some good ones coming through there. Someone asked before, Michael, just picking that up off Sarah's comment about the credit card features. Have we had any updates from Stripe?
No.
Okay.
Disappointingly, they said they'd get back to me within 48 hours, and a week later, we're still in the dark.
No worries. So that one is also still...
Yeah, we're putting our feelers in other directions, so I'm hopeful that we have a solution fairly quickly, but I actually don't have a solution right this moment. Yep.
It's good things coming in there. Thank you very much, people. I will be sure to pass that on. Hopefully we can start seeing some of them implemented. That'll be good.
I know the filter by size was one that was mentioned.
Yep.
So I can see that coming in.
Good stuff. All right. I reckon we've got time for at least a couple more email questions. Got one here. It says, thank you for the detailed discussion on platinum last week. My question is, if platinum is twice as scarce as gold and classed as an industrial metal, does it have as much chance of mass adoption in other industries considering its finite supply?
Yeah, I think particularly in the bullion industry, we place, or in the coin industry, we place too much emphasis on rarity, on availability. Just because something's rare doesn't make it more valuable, but it also doesn't make it less desirable. The manufacturers, with the technology that's coming down the pike, whether they like it or not, they have to use, in a lot of the technologies, a lot of the medicines, those types of things, they don't really have a choice. They have to use one of the inert metals: platinum, palladium, rhodium. Platinum, although palladium's actually a very similar price now, but platinum has been the cheaper of the three options. Palladium is now kind of matching it, or within spitting distance of it. Rhodium is such a ridiculously expensive metal that it's, unless you're, designing part of the space race or missiles or something like that, you're not going to waste your money on rhodium. You're going to pick one of the other two. And it really is quite often a toss-up between whether you use platinum or palladium. There are some differences with different things. So sometimes, palladium will be the obvious choice, and other times platinum is the obvious choice. But quite frequently, they can use one or the other. I don't think it's a case of which is rarer, which is going to drive harder. I think it's a case of we have to use them. We don't really have a choice. They're both difficult metals to find and pull out of the ground. They both come from like the vast majority of the stock that we've got comes from politically challenged areas with production issues. I think both of them, as industry gets back onto its feet, as technologies become more developed and more mass produced, I think there's only one way it can go. That the demand will have to be there, because all the governments are setting these targets for we're going to be whatever free by the the next 10 minutes type of thing. They have to set these technologies have to exist. These technologies have to use these metals, and they are going to drive demand whether the stuff is freely available or not. So I think, and this is not financial advice, that we are naturally going to see this uptick in demand, and supply is always going to be challenged. So eventually we're going to see this uptick in price, I believe.
Nods all around.
Very good.
All right. There's a request for us, and I'm actually going to say a request for us to do this one in a separate video, but it seems to be quite popular for us to go through what is in our go bags, Michael.
Oh, yeah. That's got to be a video. We can't just give away that rock solid content in the midst of a live stream. That's a standalone video for sure. Next week, lads, book it in. That's what we're filming next week.
Sounds good.
When Michael's back with us.
Are you back next week?
Monday. I fly back on Monday, so I'll be back Tuesday.
Ripper. Next week, book it in, fellas. We're going to make a go bag video. Speaking of things in the future, we should do it. It's been a long time. I was thinking last night at 2:00 in the morning about what a hoot we had on the live tour circuit. I wonder if there's scope to do an event in the future, Michael. What do you think of that as a concept?
I think it's a good concept. I don't know if we should travel around or people should travel to us.
People travel to us. You know what we did? Because last time it was almost like we sort of travelled around, and it felt like a bit of a sprint. Like we were, every other day we were jetting off. Adelaide was a great example. We got into Adelaide, and it was that same night we were off to Perth, and it was exhausting. I think what we should do is, and maybe we do a poll. We sort of focus our efforts on a major event, because they were all comparatively small events. I like the idea of us doing a focused, dedicated event in Melbourne. People can we'll organise it far enough in advance that people can circle it in their calendars, bring the family down for a weekend if you're interstate, and we'll absolutely blow the roof off a venue.
Yeah, look, I agree, and I think it needs to be educationally focused. There's a lot of new people in the industry. There's a lot of experienced people in the industry. So it would be great to bring those people together so they can share ideas and advice and those types of things. But also getting people in that are, for want of a better term, experts in the industry, but not so much, like, I'm trying to be very, very delicate here. We don't want to scaremonger people. We actually want to educate people. It comes back to the, teach a man to fish type of scenario. We really want to go down that path. And I believe, and I'm possibly speaking out of turn here, I believe that there are many ways you can invest in the bullion industry, and there are times to invest in different ways. Like sometimes physical is the way to go for store of wealth, but other times if you're wanting to do a quick trade or, maybe, I don't know, I'm trying to come up with examples off the top of my head, but there are times when it's better to actually take a paper position, or you might be going, well, actually, I'm happy with my stack, but I'd really like to explore the mining area and actually, invest in some miners or those types of things. And I think somebody or a group of people coming together, a group of experts in those various fields, actually sitting down and being able to give the pluses and minuses. This is how you do it. This is when you do it and why you do it, and actually explain it all, and then take questions from real people on the floor and actually give those hard-hitting answers to how to do this practically. And I think there's a real need for that.
Well, I hope Bullion Now will be the business to come up with a solution to that predicament, because I obviously have a totally biased opinion, but I completely agree. And I think we have touched on this in the past, and obviously we all thoroughly enjoyed our time at the Gold Conference, but I got the impression that a lot of the emphasis on that was predominantly the miners. There was a bit of retail representation between Bullion Now and Perth Mint, that is. But I like the idea of, an event that showcases not only the retail bullion side of the industry, but those other things. You can have a look at the miners, you can have a look at stocks, you can have a look at even, the numismatic side of things. I think so many of the conversations that we have, even off the stream, we end up discussing so many broad aspects of this industry and all of those industries that I guess you might even say are adjacent to bullion. And I like the idea of an event where, as is always the focus for Bullion Now, to educate people and encourage them to give consideration to where these things fall in their own lives and their own priorities. And obviously, above all else, I just love that idea of getting the community together, getting people that have been on board for a while, and maybe some new faces in the mix that are just wanting to learn a little more. I think those kind of events are really invaluable.
I'm actually cheating a little bit because you and I hinted at this the other day when we were talking, but so I half know your answer. But when you ran ANDA Melbourne, it was last weekend, wasn't it? When you ran Melbourne ANDA, did you feel like there was a desire amongst people there? And that's a very numismatic and stacker group of people coming together. Was there rumblings of a desire for education, for people to be able to ask questions of so-called experts in the field?
Yeah, there definitely was. And on top of that, given that, so the layout of the hall, this is the Melbourne Town Hall. It has a large stage. So we had a big projector screen just with a Money Expo. That's the name of the event, the Money Expo promotional banner, for lack of a better term. And a number of people came up to me and said, at what time presentation's happening? And I said, sorry, there's no presentations booked. What do you mean? And they said, well, you've got a stage, you've got a lectern. I'm assuming that there'll be some experts up there, presenting on various coins and things like that. And it was one of those things. It's often, and that's partially why, like the tech guys earlier want the chat to ask questions, because often it's not until these questions are presented to people in the industry that ideas like this come to fruition. Because I think sometimes in my head, I just assume, if you're in the room, you'll just ask the relevant experts in their various fields the appropriate questions. But sometimes you don't even know what the question is until you see someone presenting on a given subject. And all of a sudden that stimulates further conversation, discussion, you form friendships, and the whole thing escalates from there. So absolutely, particularly from a numismatic perspective, but I think as this channel highlights as well, there's a thriving bullion community. And on top of that, I'm sure there are plenty of people that invest in stocks and miners and all that sort of thing, that it'd be great to get all these people together for an event.
No, I agree. Well, I think we should do something.
Ooh, Sovereign Hill for a location, Oz Dude says.
That'd be a great spot.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
Whole new kind of light and sound show.
I think even if we don't go there for the event, I think you and I or us need to head down there for a video at some stage, Michael. I think
sounds like a business, a tax deductible trip to me.
Big time. That lolly shop, sure, that ties into the business somehow.
Absolutely, it does.
Oh dear.
All right, Rubes, we've got time for 70 questions in 35 seconds.
I think we do.
Quick sticks.
All righty. So pitch all those questions to us. Keep them short and sharp, but any question that you've always wanted to ask a bullion dealer, throw them into the live chat now, and we will attempt to answer as many as we possibly can over the next, however long Ruben keeps us going for.
If it's a question you've already asked, feel free to ask again, although there may be a reason we haven't answered it, we'll see. But feel free to pitch it at us, and we'll see how we go. Alrighty, let's do it. Can we sell airtight capsules and tubes?
Yes, we talked to, I actually talked to them at the World Money Fair. Stand by. I don't have an answer for you, a definite answer for you yet, but stand by. Over the next couple of months, you may see them appear.
When are we doing the next live auction?
Well, next week. We didn't do one this week, did we?
Yeah.
Nah, that's all right. We can do one next week. Kilo coin stands.
You asked for the questions, mate.
That was my official response to it.
What's being released next week?
I'm having the foggiest.
Should have some interviews coming out. Products wise, I'm not 100%, but yeah, we'll make sure there's at least one or two releases that we can get behind.
Be worth watching next week. I don't know what it is yet.
Once we figure out what it is. Why are you so popular, Michael?
Hey?
Your campaign seems to have the momentum of a runaway freight train. Why are you so popular?
Which campaign is this?
I don't know. CAC cat stickers or grading anything of interest in Australia like it is here in the USA?
Not at all. It's not something that we really get on board with in Australia. I think Australia is still just starting to adopt the whole PCGS thing, which is a boom in the decimal coin collectors marketplace, but not so much in bullion. Perhaps an opportunity in the future.
When's the next 1 ounce Silver Dragon series proof coin coming out?
Not for a couple of months.
Can we get capsules for 10 ounce bullion bars?
I'm sure we can get anything. I don't know of any off the top of my head.
Metal analyzer video.
Guaranteed to possibly do it next week.
Next week, there's a lot happening next
10
week.
10 ounce PAMP gold and silver bars.
Yes.
Michael Carroll, I'm not going to make him condense that one. I will save, for this bit, I will save that one and we can talk about that next week. Empty monster boxes.
Coming, we do not post them out. But if you're passing by the store, drop in, say, hey, Michael said, if you've got any spare ones, I could have one. And
Same thing goes, Oz Dude, for the container for carded bars. The Perth minted bars, we have plenty of those. Like the boxes for them. If you're ever in store, feel free to swing by.
Yeah, but I want to emphasise, we don't post them out. It causes absolute chaos when we do. I get my butt kicked by the dispatch department. Please do not ask for them to be shipped out because the answer will be a resounding no. We will not do it.
Royal Mint, Beowulf and Grendel.
It's that 2 words again. Keep going.
What's your favourite bullion design so far this year?
That one's fairly obvious. Is the dragon, the lunar dragon out of Perth Mint, the bar.
What's our ETA on the Germania runes?
About a month.
When's the new Gold Coast store opening?
No comment.
Any Yumi unboxings coming up?
Yes.
Good stuff. Troll Fighter wants a Bullion Now t-shirt. Live in the USA.
Send us your address, mate, and we'll bung it into your next order.
Do we buy back with numismatic value?
Bullion Now does not buy back with numismatic value.
And with buyback, do you add numismatic value, Han? That might be a slightly different question.
With buyback, do you add numismatic value? I don't understand the question.
Yeah.
I mean, do we add numismatic value when we sell it?
Yeah, it could be 2 ways they're asking that. How can we order silver monster boxes?
You're talking full ones, just place the order. So 250 for a monster box of, there's 250 coins in a monster box of kangaroos. So if you order 250, we will ship you out a monster box. If you're talking about just getting an empty one, like I said, come past the store and pick one up.
2024 gold kangaroos. Have we had them arrive in stock yet?
I thought they were coming this week. They hadn't come.
You've been lied to this week.
Yeah, so I'd expect to see them early next week.
Are we doing a Bullion Now bar this year?
Probably.
Taylor Swift or Beyonce?
Next.
Do we post tubes, if not monster boxes?
No. It just causes too many problems.
How much silver in a Cybertruck battery?
Having the foggiest. I'm just going back to that tube one and the monster box to a degree as well. If you buy a tube's worth or very close to, or a monster box worth, the chances are we will actually ship them in those things. So it's not like we never ship them out. It's just if somebody buys, for example, a half-ounce XAG bar and then says, can you include a tube in it? it blows the packaging out that we've calculated shipping on and all that sort of stuff. So it just doesn't work. So if you want a tube and you can't swing by the store, order 20 of a kangaroos and we'll send you out a tube with them.
Some clarification on Aussie Girl's question. Some dealers add numismatic value to buybacks, some don't, do we? So I guess, yeah, if we're selling a specific item from a buyback, do we add a premium to it?
This is a hard question to answer. Sometimes is probably the accurate way to put it. And it sounds like we're price gouging, and I don't think I'm helping that by actually giving the answer I'm about to give. But we've got to be careful that we don't just. No, look, I can't give a decent answer to this and actually make it make sense. Sometimes we mark the price up because we don't want it just dumped straight onto people price gouging straight onto eBay and things like that. So we do add a premium to it to make people think twice before they're buying it, and actually it goes into the correct hands and not just somebody scalping. If that makes any form of sense at all.
Would we make a 10-ounce stacker bar?
Stand by on that one. Very, very early stage negotiations.
Is the high premium on the 2024 Gold Kangaroos temporary?
I have no idea on this one. I'm still trying to work out why it's gone up so much.
Krugerrands, question mark.
Yes, we have them.
Chicken or beef?
I'm an ex-beef farmer, so that one's an easy one. It'll be beef.
There we go. And I reckon we're starting to wind to the end there.
And I want to touch on, if Aussie Girl can clarify what she means by as a collector, I find it difficult. Because she's the one that, I'm assuming it's a she, that asked that question about the numismatic premium.
I'm guessing if you're looking for something in particular, there's less chance of finding it at a bargain price if you're just looking across dealers. If everyone is looking at charging higher prices, there's not the random factor to it. And I think that's probably going to be my answer. Is I think what happens with us a lot of the time is you can still get the typically higher premium items thrown in with almost the lucky dip kind of things. So we have quite good things in our lucky dip, buyback gold, buyback silver. But if you're after a specific item, if you're saying, I really want this, we get a bulk lot of 2012, maples or something. If we get a specific item or, an old kookaburra or something, and we list it as specifically an old cook, you will find typically the premium is a little bit higher. So I think it comes down to if you're happy with just the lucky dip or if you are going out there with a certain item in mind.
Yeah, we also have Aussie Girls clarifying a little bit there. So a lot of dealers put on high premiums, sometimes hundreds over normal premiums. Sometimes, I'll talk collectively, sometimes we do. Like I said, quite often it's not purely for the making an extra profit, although I'm sure that factors into it as well. But sometimes it's because, like I said, we're not trying to encourage the quick scalp, because then it's not ending up in the hands of the people we want it to end up in. But it's also the fact that when we do advertise individual things, like we sold a double Pixiu this week, I think it was, a gold one that had come in I think it had come in buyback. And I added an extra, I think I added $100 over the normal premium for it, the normal buyback premium. And I was talking to Adam about it. Now, Adam's our stock controller. So I was talking to Adam about it, and he's saying, should we, shouldn't we? And we back and forth on it. And I said, look, we've had to, I've got to pay guys to actually pull this one out of stock. We've actually got to analyze it and check it out and make sure it is suitable to go back in to the collector market. It doesn't have a big scratch down it. It's not, like the capsule on it's in good condition still. So there is a much higher expense when we actually pull an individual item out, analyze it, and then make it available to back into the market again. So you've got to anticipate the fact that there is going to be a higher premium than just a normal buyback, purely because we've got to pay for those hours or that extra effort of actually going through, analysing it, checking it, guaranteeing it, all those types of extra handling costs that we get with it. So you will always, on those types of things, like Ruben said, when we pull them out of the lucky dip, they are going to be dearer because we've got these extra costs. Will they be, like, will we try and squeeze every cent out of them? I can only speak for Bullion Now. No, we won't. We usually throw a dart at a board and say, yeah, look, it took us an extra, hour or so and this and that and the other. Yeah, let's bung an extra 100 on it to cover those costs, sort of thing. Because at the end of the day, we are a business. So ultimately, we need to make a profit somewhere along the line. But no, we don't go through and go, oh, I reckon we can get extra $1,000 for this, and we bung it up, $1,000. We actually just try and cover our costs and a little bit of profit on there.
All right, I think we need to start winding up. We're starting to have some viewers drop off. I think this marks the end of the stream.
Yeah, I hope I answered Aussie Girl's question there to her satisfaction. If not, send us an email if you want further clarification on it.
Good stuff. All right, well, we will be departing there. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. We will have some fresh videos coming for next week. Hopefully some further interviews out of Berlin. Some of the interesting conversations we had over there and were able to film. We've got them coming, and some new product as well. And it sounds like we've promised to do a go bag video of sorts. So we'll see if we can have that one happen.
Yeah. Alrighty. See you later.
See ya.
Wait, there's my button. Bye.